島、タイトが面白いよ。
Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric and our continuing series on the Taito Type X2 arcade platform, and today we're taking a look at Spica Adventure. And it is a very interesting game because not only is it spectacular visually, but it also has a really interesting development story because this was originally a game for Japanese phones that was then brought over to the Type X2 arcade platform. Those are the only two ways you can currently play it. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link in the description below as well. But right off the top, this game is pretty damn charming. It is a 2D beat 'em up, and it only exists on one plane. It's got vibes of Bubble Bobble, of New Zealand Story. A lot of classic Taito properties really feel like they are involved in this game, and some of the enemies and characters you're going to see later on are wholly lifted from other Taito properties. This definitely looks and feels like it originated on a phone, but with an arcade stick in your hand and arcade buttons at your disposal. This is a really fun beat 'em up that actually gets relatively charming as time goes on, and it gives you a lot of different mechanics. But I just can't get over how charming the game is. The 2D artwork in this is spectacular. The soundtrack is so good that they released a CD for it. That's how much I enjoy it. I would probably actually buy it and listen to it when I was doing stuff around the house. But the main hook of the game is quite simple. Beat up enemies, get to the end of the stage, go to the next stage. It's a game style that you've played 100 times before, but it doesn't matter because Spica Adventure is so fun and so charming, and in spots so challenging, you're going to want to play the game all over again. And some of the enemies are really odd. There's just like a ray gun that shoots bullets at you. There's flowers with ducks inside of them. There's toy robots. There's wind-up dogs. It definitely has like a robotic kind of feel to it with some of the enemies, but then those ray guns just don't make much sense whatsoever. But it doesn't need to make sense. You'll see here that the color is completely changed, and you have that setting sun in the background with all of these different kind of pinks and purples and greens and pastels. The art style of this game is unlike anything I've ever seen before, and I absolutely love it for it. And trying to beat these different robotic jetpacked teddy bears that are flying around can be relatively challenging. You really got to worry about your screen space awareness and where things are coming out. And I really love that in a 2D platform because this does have a lot of 2D platforming elements in it, even though it is primarily a beat 'em up, because you can't really jump on your enemies, but you can use a Scrooge McDuck style pogo stick attack just like in DuckTales, except using the umbrella. And that is just absolutely so much fun, the different movement techniques you have in this game, because if you stick that umbrella in a wall, you can use it to jump up, down, left, or right, and there's areas in the game where that's going to be mandatory. You can also throw that umbrella in front of you and use kind of a laser attack from it. There's so many different ways to beat up the enemies in front of you and so many different ways to navigate the world. This would be a great speedrun game, and I'll have to look up after I've done the commentary because I didn't look it up to see if there are any speedruns of this game, because this is the type of thing, if you learn the movement tech, you could probably fly through these levels, never touching any enemies, and make this a complete speed tech style game. But you'll see here, like I talked about, that umbrella attack, you can attack down, and that does make you invulnerable, and that attack seems to do more damage than other attacks. But I just can't get over how much fun this game is. It doesn't look like much. If you saw a screenshot of this, you'd think it was very simple, but the fun lies in the simplicity, because once you're actually playing the game, you get such a sense of joy and entertainment from it. You can't help but enjoy your time playing the game. And the boss stages are relatively challenging as well, because we have these spacemen in these kind of circus hoops that are just flying around the screen, and you need to take out 2 of them. But I'm going to let you listen to the soundtrack unless it throws up a copyright strike, because it did release as a CD, so I've got some suspicions, but I don't find out about that until I'm done with the voiceover. So either go ahead and listen to the spectacular soundtrack or expect me to come back and talk in like 10 seconds. I'm not sure. Let's find out together. Enjoy. Man, I love that soundtrack. It's perfect for the game, and if for some reason it threw up a copyright strike and you didn't get to hear it, I would have talked about all of those fun different enemy designs, the sushi that powers you back up, and that fish cookie that's flying around that you need to attack. And it sounds weird to say fish cookie flying around that you need to attack, but it makes perfect sense. And you'll see there using the umbrella to pogo stick around and to use these fans. I just love the movement tech in this game. For a game that looks so simple, learning how to move around the stage and what works the best is just one of the best features of the game. And you will see at the bottom of the screen there is a timer running. You do not have an unlimited amount of time to get through all of the stages, but honestly, I've never run out of time. You just want to try to beat it as quickly as possible, but each boss battle uses something else that you've learned in the game. Now we need to use the fan to be able to get to the right height to attack this, what looks like roller coaster car, and we need to use the pogo jump to hit them on the ground as well, because if we just land on them, we are going to take damage. Each boss fight builds on different things that are going on, and you'll see here that there are alternate paths in the game. I took the topmost path because I wanted to show you the ending, but this game does have good replayability because you have to play it at least 3 times to see everything that is on offer. And I'm really surprised this didn't get ported to anything else. Only Japanese cell phones and the Taito Type X2 platform in Japan on the NESiCAxLive service. This would have looked great on the PlayStation Portable, or especially on the Vita with that OLED screen. And you'll see there I finally took my first death, and even the continue screen has charm and flair to it. I just love the colors in this game. They have such a vibrancy and they're so contrasting while also being complementary at the same time that it just has a look and feel of something that I've rarely ever play. The closest I feel this game gets to a game that I could think about right now is Mr. Driller with all the different colors they use. Obviously that's a Namco game, not a Taito game, but they do feel similar, at least in the colorway aspect of it. But it is a bummer that this is a really hard game to play. Now you can play Type X2 stuff on your PC. It's not the easiest or the hardest thing in the world. And if you notice there, as I run around the ground, flowers spring up and they do give us more score. If you're trying to get the highest score in this game, you don't want to jump that much. You actually want to manage your screen space so that you're constantly running around on the ground, because each flower is worth 100 points. And if you're trying to get that score up, the more in a row that you create, the higher value that number becomes. So you can play this game in 3 different ways. You can just play it for the fun and beat it, and that's always a great thing to do. You could speedrun it and try to get to the end as quickly as possible, or you could try to maximize your score and your chaining combos to try to high score the game. And I love that. A game that seems so simple has 3 completely different ways to play it. And again, this is kind of a skip in the level here. We could have gone left and made it easier for ourselves, but using that umbrella to launch ourselves back up here, we're able to bypass part of the level and kind of use a little bit, I don't want to call it a secret method to get there, but something that's just a little bit quicker. And that is just incredible when a game gives you more than one way to play it and one more way to navigate around the world. I just can't get enough. And the reason I took this top path, even though it's the easiest and shortest one, is we now have a Space Invaders theme final boss to the game. They put a lot of different elements into this game that are from classic Taito franchises. It almost feels like a pseudo love letter to Taito fans, and I've always been a fan of their games, so it's a love letter to me as well. But that's Spica Adventure. It's a really unassuming game that I assure you, if you play it, you will love it. And if you don't have a Japanese cell phone, playing it on your computer with the files and a wrapper to make X2 games run will probably be the easiest way. Would I buy an arcade board just to play this game? Honestly, I really would. Sure that, leave me a comment down below, tell me what you think. I'll be back next week with more Taito X2 stuff. We'll have videos throughout the week as well, but we've beaten the easy part of the game. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.